Hello, how are you? Now this is a technique I like to use that is super simple to help me write stand-up comedy. Those are the only techniques I can understand. I am not a smart man. But that's why people like me and you got into stand-up comedy. It's super simple. You stand on stage, you tell some jokey jokes, people go, ha ha ha. That's it, you take your check, you go home. And this method is not my own. It comes from one of the greats of all time, Mr. John Cleese. Now John told me all of this one day when we were hanging out because we're really good buddies. Mr. Cleese actually teaches creative thinking and writing, and he often does these presentations for businesses. So I applied his techniques to stand-up comedy, and they have yielded hilarious results. Sorry. So here we go. All you need to do is section off an hour and a half of your day, but it has to be uninterrupted. That is very important, and it's difficult this day and age with all the Twitters and the, hey, I got a text. It's a cat riding a dog. And the reason that 90 minutes is important is because the first 15 to 20 to 30 minutes, you'll probably just have your mind wandering, thinking about all the things you need to do for the day or an email or a phone call you need to make. So the first 30 minutes just gets that out of the way, and then you can focus the next 60 on really creative thinking. Then after that 90 minutes is done, you want to step out of your oasis, come back to reality and maybe review what you've done and see if any of it's any good. Now what I like to do for stand-up specifically is pick one topic. Recently I went on a trip to visit my wife's parents in West Africa. So for 90 minutes I think to myself, what was funny about the trip? Then if I hit on something I like to write it down in an actual notebook with a pen. This is a pen for you kids out there. We used to use these in the 80s, the 90s. I'm not old. And here's the second key element of this technique. You want to give yourself multiple opportunities to work on that same bit. You don't have to rush to get it ready. In fact, the more time you can take mulling over a bit, the more creative and the better it's going to be. Don't just take the first answer right away. Keep mining it to see what you can come up with so that what you have is different, original, and separate from the other comedians out there who may be hitting on similar topics. It's an air show. Ruining my video. It's always great to have a show coming up to prepare for. Like let's say I have a show on Thursday night. On Monday, I might do a 90-minute session on a new bit I'm working on. Tuesday, I do another 90-minute session. Then I'd see what I have at the end of that session. On Wednesday, I'll make my decisions of what I want to keep and what I don't, and then I'll rehearse the bit as much as I can so that I'm ready on Thursday and I don't crap the bed. Now, if you don't have a show coming up, set a deadline for yourself. Say, I'll give myself 4 days to work on this, and then that is it. But spend those 4 days thinking for 90-minute stretches in solitude. Give this John Cleese method a try. I have found it very helpful. And nowadays I hear all the time, Mark, you're perfect. You're a perfect comedian. Thanks guys, you're embarrassing me, God. So I'll link a full 30-minute clip by John Cleese where he talks about these creative techniques. But if you're lazy, like me, this short video is for you. And don't forget to tune into my podcast, which I do a couple times a week, called I Said Shut Up with Mark Bennett. I'll link that down below too. So that's it. We'll see you next time. Get out there and be funny. He's still on the dog.